Now, the AFL has already announced the oppositions for round 6, but this is not going to be the main concern of this video. We're going to go and look through of all of round 4, every single game, and we're going to predict who will win and who will lose. And hopefully, I can get them all right this time. Let's go. What's up everybody, it's Aidan Sports Show. Welcome back to another video. This is going to be an AFL Round 4 match prediction. We go through every team as I mentioned before. We're going to try and predict the winner. This is who I personally think is going to win, so of course you guys can always disagree with me. It's totally fine. In fact, you're probably favoured at this time to disagree with me, because after round 3, my goodness, I do not know anything. Anyway, before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. The goal is 75 subscribers. Obviously, we've reached 60. Thank you guys so much if you have not seen yet. But I really appreciate the support. And we'll go and try and get this out of the way as well. Let's see who is going to win in the AFL Round 4. To kick things off, the Western Bulldogs versus the Sydney Swans, and this is obviously going to be in Sydney. So, Bulldogs came off of a very good victory against the Giants last week, and they are coming in hot to face Sydney in Sydney, who also had a decent win. Now, I think the favourites are Sydney in this game, purely because it's in Sydney, but I'm going to go against the grain here. And I find it tough to pick Sydney, to be honest, because they are just not. I don't feel like they're a great team. I don't know if I'm missing something here, if I'm just going against everybody else, but I just don't think Sydney are that great. So I'm going to pick the Bulldogs to win, mainly because I think if they're going to have any chance to actually show that they're an impressive team, they need to start winning more games. Beating the Giants is a huge accomplishment for them, and I feel like the momentum will carry over to Sydney. But either way, Sydney or not, a team like the Bulldogs, who has the destination in mind of making the top 8, they need to beat teams like this, and I feel like they're going to. And maybe down the line we can all say, if Sydney wins, that I was wrong, and I'll happily accept it. If Sydney can beat the Bulldogs, I will admit I'm wrong, and maybe I'll have to think further into it when it comes to Sydney games. But at the moment, I just don't see it happening, to be honest, and I hope you guys can understand where I'm coming from. Sydney fans, I apologise. I genuinely do like Sydney as a team. I've liked them for many years now, but still, I don't see how me saying they're a bad team is any sort of news. It's just not. I feel like it's common knowledge at this point. Anyway, moving on to a very important game on the Friday nights with Collingwood and the GWS Giants. Now, two teams that I said would make the top 4, really. I actually didn't say Collingwood would, but they're probably going to now, so therefore my later prediction's already probably going to be wrong. But who do I think is going to win this game? This game is at the Giants' home ground, I believe, so there's an opportunity for them to go at it. But if you go against Collingwood at this point in the form that they're in, I commend you if you actually go and do that and you still end up winning. I'm picking Collingwood this game. I feel like they're heavy favourites to be top of the ladder at this point, and I also feel like they're heavy favourites for the premiership with the way they've been performing. They've been leaps and bounds better than a lot of teams in the AFL, if all of the AFL teams at the moment. So going against them now is going to be difficult to do. Now, but I don't see them coming out and smashing the Giants. I truly don't. I feel like this game is probably going to be one of the better games of the competition. The Giants are a good team. They actually play very entertaining football sometimes. Collingwood are a fantastic team, and sometimes they like to slow things down, have a little bit of short kicks, and it's not the greatest entertaining games to watch, but when they're on, and you can tell that they're quality. So I'm picking Collingwood, and hopefully I'll be proven right on that. But if the Giants win, either way, this game's going to be one where whoever wins, I'll be happy, to be honest, because they're both good teams that probably deserve to win the game. So it's just, that's the way I see it anyway. Next up, St Kilda versus Richmond. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm not going to back Richmond this game because they cannot score to save their life. I don't know if Dustin Martin's going to play in this one or not. No idea. I'm not a Richmond supporter. I don't know the Richmond news. But if they can't score goals, they're not going to win games. This reminds me so much of Melbourne last year. they have quality everywhere, but the forwards cannot score. So if they're going to continue to run out of form, I'm picking the Saints this game. Very controversial, definitely not the favourites to win, but I'm going to go ahead and go against the grain here. I'm going to pick a team that may have not had a fantastic performance against Collingwood, but can definitely outscore Richmond if Richmond are going to come and contribute the way that they have. Now, I don't know what's been going on with Richmond. I don't know why they can't score, but it feels like they're not even playing that badly. It's just that they can't seem to put the ball in the goals. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I can't believe I'm saying this about Richmond. This is the team that crushed. And by being crushed, I mean absolutely crushed the GWS Giants in the grand final. That's the team we're talking about here. Basically the same team. I'm lost for words when it comes to Richmond at the moment. I know it's only 2 games, so don't act like it's going to be a whole season thing, but I have to react based on those 2 games, and they are not Richmond quality. And I don't know, I don't see how they're going to get out of it as well. They just have to keep trying to score goals. That's their biggest problem. I feel like St Kilda can score goals. They've had 1 bad game and 1 good game since returning. So they're unpredictable, but I'm going to back the Saints. I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to pick the team that I believe is going to win, and that's going to be St Kilda. Next up, Carlton versus Essendon. Now, this is at the MCG. 2 of the most successful franchises in all of the AFL doing battle. The 2 rivals usually both hate each other. And at the moment, it feels like Essendon are going to play. Now, obviously, this could subject to be changed the day before or even the day of the game. So don't take my word for it. But it feels like Essendon have isolated the people that have been potentially in contact with that player for COVID-19. And it looks like they have successfully done the treatment necessary. Obviously they've isolated the people, so you don't expect Essendon to be at their best. But I think it's going to be a very relatively safe time for Essendon to go and play this game. But I feel like this is going to really, really drain them this game, because they're coming off of a team in Carlton that will not only have a lot of hard work and have a very high work ethic, but also can score goals. And it looks like losing a few halfbacks and fullbacks is going to be very tough for Essendon. Of course, Essendon are still favourites to win after they won their first game. I am going to go against the grain here too. Oh my goodness. I feel like just because of the last 2 rounds, I have to go against the grain and pick other teams, because that seems to be the way that it goes. Now watch every single team that's supposed to win. I'm going to back Carlton because Essendon haven't played. They had a bye, but it's not a bye because they want rest. It's a bye because they were forced. And a lot of players that were ready for this game might not be in the form that they need to be, taking a week off to COVID, to being suspended basically. And I think that's going to affect their mood, and I think it's definitely going to affect the way that they play as well. It's probably going to be a hectic week with Essendon. So many things are probably happening behind the scenes that no one knows about because of the situation that's happened with them, and it's definitely going to affect them more than Melbourne. It's definitely going to be a very tough game. It's not impossible for them to win, don't get me wrong. In fact, they are favourites to win, but I'm going to pick Carlton here, and hopefully I'll be proven right. I've backed the Blues fans for the first time. I know a lot of Carlton supporters, so in the end, maybe, just maybe, they'll like me again because I finally picked their team. Maybe, man. I don't know. We'll see. Next up is West Coast and Port Adelaide. Now, this is a little bit tough. It's going to be in Port Adelaide. It's going to be in Adelaide. And West Coast have been very, very poor as of late. And Port Adelaide are undefeated. Now, this is going to be a difficult circumstance for Port Adelaide because they're going to be versing a quality side. However, the quality has not been shown with West Coast. And that's going to be where the money lies for them. They're going to have to see if they can beat a team maybe a little bit out of form, but are definitely a top side. And if they can do that, then I think they're a shoo-in for top 4, to be honest. And I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep on saying it. Who I think is going to win? To be honest, I'm going to pick Port Adelaide. I'm going against the grain. Actually, Port Adelaide are favourites, But I think a lot of people would expect West Coast to win this game, but I'm not going to go for West Coast. The reason why is they have been so poor these last 2 rounds. Losing to Gold Coast the way that they did was poor. And of course, losing last week was poor as well. I don't know where they're going to get their feet up, and I don't know if they're just relaxing, they're cruising through the season like they don't care. I don't know if their mood has changed because of everything that's happened with Perth teams. But seriously, they need to step up, and they need to step up now. There is no point, and I truly mean this with all my heart, there is no point in saying that West Coast will make the top 4 regardless of these 2 games, because form and motivation and confidence means everything. And it feels like the motivation isn't there, it feels like the form isn't there, and where's their confidence? It looks like their confidence has sunk after that loss to Gold Coast, and they haven't capitalized on it. And Port Adelaide is a good team, and it's at Adelaide. Don't tell me that West Coast will run through Port Adelaide. They do have a chance of winning. They could pull their socks up, get their heads out their asses, and actually play football. Then we'll have a chance to win. But so far, I can't go for them. I apologize for anybody that thinks that I'm trying to go. I am going very hard on them, and I'm sorry for people that think it's going too hard, but I hate, and I'm a Melbourne supporter as well, so I know this for a fact, especially last year. I hate it with all my heart to see teams that have quality the way that West Coast have quality and misuse it, misguide it, or don't even try to perform to the levels that I know that they can. It kills me, man. It kills me because you pick, and I pick West Coast constantly. Every single round, basically, there's a chance the West Coast is going to win. But how can you say that this is a good enough standard for West Coast? Honestly, if West Coast players, fans hear this, it's a question. Do you think that you've played good enough to say we've just been unlucky with these 2 losses? They played much better, but we played good, and I feel like things are going to happen for us. If you can answer honestly, yes, I feel like we played good in those 2 games, then I call you out for a liar. It's as simple as that. We're going to move on before I get really heated, and we're going into another Perth team here. Fremantle versus Gold Coast. This is tough to decipher too, because Gold Coast have won 2 in a row. Man, it's at Gold Coast's home, but I feel like Fremantle need to win this game, man. Oh my god, if I pick Gold Coast 3 games in a row, that's going to be insane. I am begging Gold Coast to win, but I'm going to pick Fremantle here. Fremantle, a very fast-paced team, and I feel like they do have quality, something that Adelaide didn't have enough of. And I feel like Fremantle are a much better side, and they're going to prove it here. I think Gold Coast are favourites to win, actually. They are favourites, actually, to win. So maybe things change. Maybe me going against the grain once again won't work out, and I hope it doesn't on this case. But I pick Fremantle to win because I feel like the quality will shine through, and I feel like they definitely have the better players. Maybe not a better team. Maybe the team is a bit dysfunctional, and we've seen that with multiple teams, to be fair. It's not just them, but for sure, I feel like Fremantle will definitely be the favourites to win, in my eyes at least. Next up, Adelaide versus Brisbane. Do I even need to say anything for this game? I'm picking Brisbane. It's the actual bets they put on this is resounding. If Adelaide win, people are going to make a shit ton of money. So I think that says it all, really, that Brisbane are going to win this game. And do I have to say it? It's at the Gabba as well. Like, Adelaide are going to have to work extremely hard to dethrone Brisbane, who are confident. They're confident, and they have every right to be confident. Next up, Melbourne versus Geelong. I'm split. I'm torn. Now, as I said before, I'm a Melbourne fan. As a Melbourne fan, it's tough to go against my own team. With Geelong, losing to the Blues in Geelong is going to be extremely demotivating for Geelong. And a lot of people are saying, this is the internet, right? And I'm uploading this to the internet, and the internet comments are all saying that Melbourne are going to win this game, but the bets are saying Geelong are going to win this game. So I'm completely torn, conflicted. I don't know who to go for. I don't know. I don't think we've seen enough with Melbourne to say that I think they're going to win this game, so I'm going to pick Geelong. because I still don't know what Melbourne is all about yet. I know what Geelong's all about. They nearly came back to beat Carlton. We've beaten Carlton, but still, we could have easily lost that game as well. So I don't think we're going to be anywhere above the level of a Carlton or a Geelong. I think the levels are relatively close. So I feel and I believe that Melbourne have a very good chance to win, but my brain is telling me that there's not enough information to process about what Melbourne is all about after 2 games of seeing them play. There's not enough information. I can't process it. We lost to West Coast nearly 4 months ago, and then we beat Carlton. So it's just there's not enough information for me to go against Geelong at the moment. But trust me with all my heart, I believe Melbourne can win this game. And I will be frustrated if we don't. That's how much confidence I have, that I think that it's a 50-50 to me. I probably can pick Melbourne. I am going to stick with Geelong just because my brain tells me that Geelong is probably the favourites to win. But if Melbourne come out all guns blazing in the first quarter and actually use that momentum in the first quarter against Carlton, play like that for all 4 quarters, Geelong don't stand a chance. No team will. So, yeah, whatever that's worth. Next up, and I believe this is the last game, Hawthorn versus North Melbourne. North Melbourne beat the Giants, didn't they? But Hawthorn beat Richmond, and by an outstanding amount. If momentum carries over, I see Hawthorn comfortably winning this game. But yeah, I'm going to stick with Hawthorn, to be fair. Again, I feel like this game's going to be close because North Melbourne deserve a lot of credit for the past games that they've had, but they lost to Sydney at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure. So it's just typical, isn't it, for a bad team to beat the good teams but then lose to a team just equally or if not worse than them. So it's just different. It's different, and I think that's going to be a little bit tough to decipher that game. But those are all my predictions for this round. Those are all of my predictions for the AFL Round 4. And I'm a little bit sad that I didn't pick Melbourne, and I feel like I'm going to keep on regretting it and regretting it and regretting it. But at the end of the day, only time will tell. Hopefully the D's will shine through. Hopefully a bunch of teams like West Coast shine through, because I want to see quality teams play quality football. I hate seeing teams that have the quality not perform. It's the worst feeling as an AFL fan. Even if I don't like the team, I don't really like West Coast, but I want to see them perform to their level, because that's the whole point. I want to see AFL football. I'm so happy that it's back, but I don't want to see mediocre football. I don't want to see top teams play mediocre. That's why Bulldogs are pissing me off. Yeah, it's just a bunch of things, man. And soon Geelong will piss me off as well. A bunch of teams are going to piss me off. That's basically what I'm trying to say. But I hope in the end we're going to see quality over just quantity of wins and losses. We're going to see quality of football from hopefully every team, but especially the good teams. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Yeah, the goal is 75 subscribers, guys. If you're new, feel free, man. I'm not going to force you to do it. I'm not going to beg, but I'll really appreciate it, and I thank you guys for all your support. Have a wonderful and safe day. Peace.